See you. Hey guys, we're here at the Bronx Bulls and Bibles camp here in Miles City, sitting here with JR Vezain. I thought we'd take a little bit of time and just talk about the camp, talk about what's going on with JR. I had the opportunity to sit and visit with him earlier, and he man, the guy inspires me all the time. We were talking about just kind of real life stuff. JR, you were talking about how kind of going through a little bit of a season, and man, you told a great story how the Lord impacted you through your horse. You want to talk a little bit about that? I think people need to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I guess as long as I can remember, I was horseback. So I spent 6 months not being horseback. The longest I can ever remember not being horseback while I went through rehab at Houston and there in Utah. And I tried to go to a few different places and get horseback, and it never seemed to work out. And we came home the first part of April to have Riot, and I told my wife on the drive home, I said, I don't care what it takes, I'm getting horseback tomorrow. And so we got home Friday, and Saturday, by golly, I figured out a way to get horseback. And it's funny, I tell a little story about it. So I got horseback. I was pretty proud that day. I didn't want to wear the seatbelt yet, and thought I thought it was going to be like it was, and obviously it wasn't. Didn't have much weight in my feet, but I got set down in there, and I got feeling pretty good, and I turned off and went to ride off, and it spooked me a little because I didn't have no balance. Core wasn't very strong, and just a different shape. And I grabbed hold of my rope, and I was real tense and riding around the pasture there. And I had bought this mare. Actually, I had told you as a 3-year-old in 2012. So now she's 9 or 10. And I had bought her with the intentions of turning her and selling her for a bunch. And just so happened she was just a good one to keep around, and was one of our using horses. So we kept her around, and good thing I ended up keeping her around because she was the only thing broke enough for me to ride when I got home. But it was funny, as broke as she was, I was tensed up, and she'd kind of go to walk a little faster. I'd pull her up, and she'd kind of get to prancing and just wanting to go. And I got out the driveway and made a loop around the field, and the farther I rode, the more relaxed I got, the more I dropped my hand and just trusted her. She just dropped her head and walked real nice around there. And I got back, and I was sitting on the porch, and I said, man, ain't that funny how life is just like a little ride. When we get uncertain about our situation, we try to grab hold of the reins and control every step. It gets a little shaky, you know what I mean? And it's tiring. It wears you out. I was bared down. I was grab hold of my rope and was trying to control, and I was just fighting it, and it just wore me out. And the more I relaxed, the more I breathed, the more I gave the reins to her and just let her go. It was fun. It was enjoyable. And did it feel the way I want it to feel? Maybe not, but it was dang sure a lot easier than me trying to control the reins. And it's funny how life's like that. Whenever we get to a situation where our circumstances maybe aren't the way that we want, we try to take control of it, it wears us out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when we give the reins to the Lord, let Him guide us and just roll with the punches and carry on, it sure makes that ride a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah, for sure. We were visiting over there, and you got to talking about this other mare.
Yeah.
And you were kind of, one day you were really wanting to get on her, but you thought you'd get one of your brother-in-laws to ride the rust off of him, and you got in there, got in the catch pen to catch her. Talk about the power of that. Tell a little bit about that story and the power of it. How that kind of helped you to just realize some things in your life in general.
Yeah, so that mare was a mare I traded from Shelby's grandpa as a 4-year-old. It would have been 2 years ago now. It's kind of a little waspy, bronky little thing, and I traded just a little too much horse for him, so I traded a gentler one. She's bred really good Dachshund Coyote mare, so I want her. I kind of cabbaged onto her, and I rode her pretty hard that fall and the next spring, or that fall and winter and the next spring, and a bunch of branding and stuff. And then after the wreck, nobody else. Well, I wasn't riding her, and everybody else has their own horses, so she just got kicked out. And so she'd been out for 11 months, and we had gathered our mares, and she'd been sitting at the house for 2 months, and I'd been asking somebody to not. For whatever reason, I just wanted to ride her just to see if I could. So I was asking somebody else to knock the rust off her, and just never worked out. Too busy rodeoing, whatever it was. And one day I said I was doing some leather work, and I got done in the afternoon, and everybody's gone. I was by myself. Shelby was down at the house, and Sage was off rodeoing and Baker, and they were going to be home that evening. And I was by myself. I just said, I'm going to go see if I can catch her and get her saddled and just see what she's going to be. And if I can, then I know if I have her saddled, when somebody gets back, they'll knock the rust off her. So I went out there in my wheelchair and grabbed a bucket of grain, and there's probably 8 horses out there, and they all swarm me, and she's a little standoffish, and she'd kind of come sniff it, and the rest of the horses would run her off. And so I got her gypped in a smaller pen, her and that other roan mare that I'd been riding, and by then she wouldn't really come up to the bucket of grain, and that roan mare was head in my lap and just begging to be rode. And so I kind of pouted and said, well, maybe this is God's way of telling me I just need to ride the roan mare. So I halted her, and I was leading her out, kind of pouting, and I got to the gate, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna catch her. So I turned the roan loose, and I went back in the pen, and I got her gypped in the corner facing up, and she faced up and kind of watched me. She wasn't real spooked of it, but wouldn't really let me get to her, so I coaxed her into it and finally got to where I could pet her on the neck, pet her on the shoulder, and I threw my lead rope over, and she just melted. And it was instantly right then I just knew that we were good. I halted her, I led her over to the barn and brushed her off, and went to get her saddled, and from the shoulder I couldn't quite get her saddled, so I got right up in the danger zone. And mind you, she's 6 now and hasn't been rode in 11 months and a little waspy. But I knew we had a connection, and it was a connection like I'd never felt. And I picked the saddle up over my head, flopped it on her back. She took it like a shot dog. And right then, my wife and cousin, they pulled in, and they're like, holy smokes, I can't believe you're crazy. She's going to buck. I said, no, she ain't. And they led her over to the tree for me, and I got hoisted up and sat down and walked down to the arena, walked, trot, loped some circles, spun a hole in the ground, came back up, roped the dummy, and it was just a boost of confidence for me, to at this stage in the game, I've never had the desire to not continue living out the passions that I have, and one of my greatest passions is riding horses and ranching and raising cows and living that lifestyle. And I battled with it for a little while, not being able to do it like I once could. But after that, it just sparked some encouragement into me that, hey, I can still do the same things that I once could. I just have had to find different ways to do it. And how to enjoy the process. I told you that at 9 months, I hit kind of a rough patch where I've been busting my butt every single day, hours on end, sending the signal, believing, digging into the Word, seeking, praying, reading, doing everything right that I think is right, and maybe not getting quite what I thought I deserved. And I think a lot of, when we get handed a tough situation, we get so focused on getting out of the situation that we forget to enjoy the process and enjoy the ride and learn from where we are. We're in the waiting season for a reason, and if you read all them old stories, the waiting season is the hardest season, but when you come out on the end, you're twice the person that you once were. You know what I mean? And that's what I've learned is how to enjoy it, how to find the little things to be thankful for. I got two horses that I would have never had. I mean, both them horses were horses that I was gonna ride and get broke and flip and sell, and here I come. I never would have thought in a million years that I'd be the one seatbelted into them, riding them around, and that they would even pack me around. You know what I mean? So I just daily find something. The other day, my brother-in-law and I, we were down at helping the neighbor sort, and I got tangled up in the ball wire. My horse was kind of spooking and kicking, and I got flopped down the side. I felt like a dude hanging off the side, trying to get scratched back up the middle. I'm like a little kid riding around there holding on to the horn. I might not be as handy as I once was, but by golly, it sure beats sitting on the couch.
You're still horseback, aren't you?
It
beats the heck out of pouting.
Exactly, yeah, and that's when we have that choice every single day. You can wake up and feel sorry for yourself and pout, or you can look at your toes, try to get them to wiggle. When they don't wiggle, roll out of bed and make the most of the day. And that's what I've been trying to do. Is I haven't lost my faith. I still believe in the miracle. I still believe that I'll be healed. I believe that God's the same today as He was yesterday, as He will be tomorrow. And the same God that performed miracles in the Bible time is the same God that performs miracles today, and I will receive a miracle. So I haven't lost that faith, but I've also have a peace about letting it be on His time, and gaining wisdom in the waiting season while I'm waiting, and trying to better myself to have a better outlook on stuff like that, and how to impact people along the way, you know.
And that gaining wisdom in the meantime is something significant to you. That's not just a statement that you said in passing. That's a statement that means something right now. Gaining wisdom in the meantime is one of the things that's driving your faith right now, isn't it?
Oh yes, definitely. I just read a proverb the other day that said wisdom is more important or more valuable than any silver and gold, and that really hit me. That back in them times, silver and gold was the cream of the crop. That was the highest value of something that you could have, and gaining wisdom, whether it be how to handle a situation, whether it be book smart, whether it be learning more about spinal cord injuries so that I can help somebody else along the way, whether it be learning how to handle different situations so that I can pass it on to somebody else. Those are far more valuable than any riches I have, you know what I mean, or will have. So yeah, definitely digging in and really trying to humble myself and say, okay, God, what do you want me to learn today? And listening, not just picking what I think He wants me to learn, but actually listening is definitely what's driving my faith, because I can guarantee you in the last little over a year, I've learned more about my relationship with God, and more about faith, and more about trust, timing, patience than I would have if I wouldn't have been in this situation.
Yeah, you came to Matitsi back in June and helped me with my rodeo Bible camp. You're here this weekend at Bronx Bulls and Bibles. I remember back in June you said you were kind of nervous getting there at a Bible camp. You know, it was your first time since the injury that you were I kind of prodded you, I think, a little bit to come and teach again, and you're here this weekend. What do camps like this? What do they mean? What do they mean to the rodeo world? What do they mean to you to be able to continue to impact these young rodeo cowboys like you are?
Well, it's a huge opportunity, not only for the kids but for us as well, as instructors to hand down that wisdom that we have gained over however long your rodeo career's lasted. So it's great. And when I was rodeoing, I loved coming to these schools because it brought you back to the basics. At these schools, you teach basics. That's what you teach. Fundamentals, good starts, all the building blocks that you need to set somebody up from here to go forward. And it's great when you have the right agenda at these deal with, everybody's here to learn how to rodeo, but when you put the Bible in it, is that not what we're here to do as well? Mm-hmm. We're here to install the basics into each one of these kids. The basics is the love that Jesus has for us, that He came down here and died for our sins. You know what I mean? And it's just such a great thing. It's such a I don't know. I'm humbled to even be a part of God working here, and seeing how this one has grown, and being from Cali, not too far down the road, being able to come see your ministry down there in Matitsi, and they're awesome, man.
Yeah.
These things, they really are. They're great for the kids. They're great for the instructors, and just get back around Christian friends and sharpen each other. You know what I mean? We're here sharpening everybody's tools. So it's dang sure fun to come be a part of it. And then as far as teaching goes, it's tough for me because I'm a visual learner, so I show visually. You know, so
it's hard to get your feet up over the
exactly
up over the top of one,
showing how to spur spurboard. You know what I mean? But it's great because it teaches me how to teach, you know, and a different way to approach situations, and I've had to build myself on how to explain stuff differently so that people get it instead of me just showing it. So it's great. It's all around. It's good for me, good for kids, good for everybody that's involved.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think just lights me on fire for this thing is every evening we have Cowboy Church. And we get the opportunity to see these big tough rodeo cowboys. You know, these kids coming and you invite them down front. You know, you invite them to declare Christ as Lord over their life, and you talk to them about it. And then we always line up all our instructors and invite them down to come to be prayed for. And you see emotion. You see these guys coming down that realize that who Jesus is, that you don't have to, you know, that being a follower of Christ isn't for the weak at heart.
Exactly.
You know, and you see the emotion, and you see these guys, and then we have the opportunity to just continue over the next couple of days, shake their hands and give them a hug and hear them say thank you for that. That meant a lot. And of course the Lord speaks through every instructor, because we give them opportunities to share their testimony, and these guys get to hear real, authentic, you know, cowboys sharing the gospel with them, and they see Christ through a different set of eyes. And
it's lens. A great opportunity too for the rodeo world, because in the early 1900s, whenever rodeos began, it was wild western cowboy drinking, fighting,
right,
that road, you know, for a long time.
Yeah.
And the rodeo world needed Jesus. The rodeo world needed some saving, you know what I mean? For sure. And it's awesome to have 70 plus kids here that get the seed planted now at the beginning of their career.
Yeah.
And wherever the road takes them, but the seed was planted at the beginning of their career. You know what I mean? So they're great. These are great.
Well,
to be part of.
Tomorrow's the end of the camp, and here at Miles Community College Champion Arena, and we'll have a rodeo. Get to see these kids put on a show. Anyone around locally is welcome to come watch it. It sure is a good time, and you get to see some kids really, and I say kids, there's some up in their 20s, but they're still kids to me. But you get to see them kind of show what they've learned, and they're beat up and sore and everything else, but they're ready to put on a show. So, hey, thanks, bud.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Stick around. We'll have some more videos here in a little while, but JR Vezain, Kevin Cooley, it's been good being with you. Thanks, guys.